You have big dreams of losing weight and creating a healthy, joyful life. But you find yourself craving sugar, caught up in what the scale says, and diet hopping. Dieting is the old way of losing weight. And the good news is I'm going to give you a new way of eating so you can ditch diets for good and build a healthy relationship with real food. My name is Megan Olson, certified nutrition practitioner, creator of Skinny Fitalicious, and your host of the Dish on Diets show. Hello, friends. Today I have a special guest on the podcast, my client, Sharon. Sharon came to me in June of 2023, struggling with her self-love, her self-image, and struggling with dieting and food. She had decades of dieting under her belt. She knew everything that she should be doing, but she just couldn't get over the mental hurdles required to help her figure out a balanced and mindful lifestyle. She was constantly restricting and cutting out foods, seeing foods as good or bad, and also seeing herself as good or bad. She felt like she had to lose weight in order to be worthy of happiness and worthy of other things in her life, like finding a partner. Sharon is a counselor, and she talks about this today, how she counsels other people, but she just couldn't figure out, without my guidance, how to do this on her own. One of the things that is really incredible about Sharon's story, there's so many aspects, but one thing is that she is 76 years young. This literally can happen at any age. You can change at any age and improve your life, improve your health, feel better about yourself, make peace with food at any age. It is always possible. And I want Sharon's story to inspire you. In fact, I know there's so many nuggets of helpful advice that she has today, but I really think that she has such an inspiring story, and I hope you enjoy her story. And with that, here she is. Hi, Sharon. It's so great to see you today and have you talking with us on the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, Megan. Glad to be here.
So tell us, Sharon, a little bit about you, anything you feel comfortable with.
Okay. Well, let's see. My name is Sharon Elena. I am living in the state of Maine, which is finally turning too cold, which I do enjoy. I'm 70. I just turned 76 in October. That's valid, kind of relevant because it's something that I struggled with for a long time, aging and feeling the difficulty of not being able to, I'd say, look like the person that I know I can, but more than that, the feeling of peace in my mind. As I got older, and I didn't want to be tripping over things that don't make any sense. And one of them that doesn't make any sense was the way I was running my food show, and also my impression and view of my body. I knew it wasn't healthy. I'm a counselor. I work with women mostly, and I help them with their issues with self-esteem and confidence and power, really, how to be more powerful as self-power as a woman. And so knowing that I had something in myself that I was struggling with, and I've done a lot of therapy and gone looking for a lot of help, but I knew what was happening and it wasn't right. And I knew that I had to go find what was right. I can use the terminology now that I couldn't use before Megan, and one is what I would say I had a diet lifestyle. Probably started really gaining weight around age 50, and it was a constant from there and a struggle. I think I forgot that I wasn't supposed to still be feeding myself like a teenager or eating on the run or eating in between things, which I had always done because I raised 6 kids. I raised 6 kids alone. So, they were always a priority and I wasn't. So I learned how to do that really well. It was okay for me to be a little neglected or deprived because I had also grown up that way. I had a pretty difficult childhood. But I made sure that my children didn't. So that's where all of my devotion went. Then they grew. grew up just fine. And I didn't. So a lot of me did, and I became very successful at what I was doing, and I had a lot of happiness, except that somewhere inside of me, I had this longing for something to be different. I worked really hard at having a peaceful mind, and I like my personality, so personality would go forward to people in friendliness, and all of that is what showed up the most. So, that's how people saw me and still do see me. But I knew in those quiet moments when I was alone that something was hurting and something wasn't right. And I didn't realize, I couldn't, now I do, but then I didn't realize that I had such a mental force for a diet. It did become a lifestyle, diet after diet. And I covered an awful lot of them, most of them.
When did your dieting start, by the way?
About the age 50.
Okay.
That's when I started really gaining weight. And it was I think I was depressed the first time around, because it was a really hard hit for me to see myself getting fat, and that's what was happening. And I'd always worked out, and I was still working out, but it wasn't enough. And there's, and you can go researching and read all the, and I read all the books, and I have all of the recipes for all the different kinds of eating. And they contradict each other. Someone that says this is absolutely the way to go, and this is what you need to do, and you'll have great success, would be the opposite of what someone else would say. So I was doing my best to follow along and keep what was natural for me, but my best wasn't really healthy at that. Now I know this, since working with Megan, I know this, but so diet after diet got inside of me and in my brain, and unfortunately, one of the things that I realize now that really happened was I built up more sense of deprivation. Now, I was deprived as a kid, not of, of food some, but of love. And so deprivation is a really big trigger for me. And what I hadn't seen at that time, that I won't let happen again, was realizing that restriction, and I understand restriction, and sometimes restriction is necessary and healthy, but restriction is a trigger for me. It's a trigger for me to enter into a sense of deprivation. And the minute I'm in a sense of deprivation, what kicks in for me is the need to, usually eat sugar. But so these diets that would deprive me of a lot of the things I liked, I would stick to, take off the weight quickly, usually, have great success, feel good about myself, my body, my new clothes, everything was lovely. And then I would, I'd eat a banana, or I'd eat a cookie, or I'd eat something that that particular diet said you can't have. And then I would be back to what was my normal way of eating, which was on the run, what I wanted when I wanted it, and no real sense of counting macros or paying attention to just how. I won't say that totally, because health-wise, I ate organic. I looked for good foods. I bake and cook for myself. I don't eat a lot of boxed stuff. I'm careful around that. But it didn't matter at that time. It was the what I was eating, and how much of too much of one thing and not enough of another, and some days skipping, and on and on. I can go on with all of everything. If it's in a diet somewhere, I've done it and failed. It failed because, yes, I lost the weight. I'm pretty sure I didn't gain health through that time, and I would gain it right back and then some. So they would go this roller coaster. Wasn't just about what was happening for me physically. Now I see it clearer, and I would say more importantly for me was peace of mind. I know I said that to you, Megan, that was really important to me. It still is, and I lost it then. I lost it in this topic, so I could put that subject away and go and do life in other ways, and look and feel and appear to be doing fantastic. But I would come back to this, and I knew I wasn't doing fantastic. And so I kept trying different things. And I'd read another book, and I'd do something different, And this went on, now we're talking 25 years. Sometimes in between I would get fed up and sick of it, and I stopped the diets, and I'd keep gaining the weight, and then I'd feel terrible about myself and go read another book.
What do you think kept you on that cycle, Sharon? Like, you knew it wasn't working, right? You constantly were doing it, and then you'd gain the weight back. Why do you think you were stuck in that cycle, or what kept you going back into that?
That's mostly what's taught. I did research. I did listen to. I looked for I'm willing to have a coach, right? I'm willing to have teachers. I want to learn from someone that might know more than me. But what's out there? So much of what's out there is, and people are really selling the praises of some of these diets and these ways. And maybe that does work for some people. It wasn't ever going to work for me. Under all the circumstances of my life and my mind, who I am, what I am, and all that put together, it was never going to work for me. To be able to let weight go from my body, feel good about my body, accept my body as it is right now, knowing changes, still changing, good, that's good. I'm healthy, that's a plus. I think I needed something different, and I didn't know where to find it. And so I'd go back, I'd read, somebody else would be telling me, or someone would say to me, oh, I had great luck with this, or this person's teaching these things are what really is making you gain weight. You know, I covered it all, hunting. So I think the whole time I did it all, I was searching. Inside of me, there was no, because I had no peace of mind. And I think I told you that in the front of all of this, that was one of the things that's really important to me. And no matter what I did and what I learned, I did not have peace of mind. So I knew it wasn't right. I knew there had to be something better for me. I was going to a gym and doing PT because I had a knee surgery. And while I was there, I can remember thinking, oh, I would sit in the water in the warm pool for my knee with a group of other women, all that were, you know, at least middle-aged and looking a little round, and always talking about either food or the diet they should be going on, or what they were going to do because they had to lose the weight. And that topic was constant and interesting because, of course, I probably needed to hear all that at the time. And there was one woman who said she was following someone and getting some really good recipes, and her name was Megan Olson. And when I heard that name, it clicked for me. And so I did the research to find you, and I knew that with our first conversation, this is sent to me as a blessing. This is it. And I didn't have the knowledge, only what I read that you had said, but I didn't have the knowledge of the knowing. It didn't link anywhere inside of me. You know, there was no click that took place like, oh, aha, that wasn't there. That was, this is weight loss without a diet. Okay. Then it probably will work, but I have no idea what the heck she's talking about. So that's how it started, right?
Yeah. So how long ago was it that you had that encounter at the gym?
Well, it was 7 months ago.
Okay. So that was right before we started working together, because we started working together, was it May or June of 2023?
Yep. As soon as I heard your name, I called you immediately, and you set up a little appointment for me, and that was the beginning. Yes. My intuition is very strong, I will say. And I knew that I found the right person in the right place at the right time. And I think the combination does make a difference. I had hit a wall. And I felt it inside of me. And I knew I could not do another diet no matter what. I just couldn't. I wouldn't. I knew it. So it was either this would work or, well, I don't know. I don't know what would have happened, but anyway.
So we started working together then summer of 2023. And I guess talk to everybody and tell them, like, what was different about this? How was it maybe not a diet?
Well, you never used the word diet in terms of something right to do, so that's a good beginning. But well, for me, what struck me the most that I needed, and I knew I needed it, was you talking about mental dieting.
Yeah.
And changing my focus. And I know that's the truth because I work with people on that. But I couldn't find my own way.
Mm.
And so having you give me the different assignments you did and the conversations that we had led me deeper into myself, where I knew I still had some healing to do, even though I have done so very much in my life. And by doing that and being able to trigger those experiences inside of me and the feelings that go along with them, I could then begin to link what was happening within me, within my psyche, to the food that I had been eating or the diets that I had been on. More than that, I found the reason why at the very bottom that I couldn't bear having an overweight body. Physically, that's true. Really, what was happening inside of me was that feeling of the weight within my spirit, the weight within my spirit, because it was a constant battle within me and a constant sense of deprivation, struggle against the deprivation, trying to find that sense of security within me again. And when all of that stuff get all triggered up, I saw it so very clear. I saw that that's what I had actually been going through and fighting the whole time I was on some kind of a diet. So being able to let that all go, I listened to you, and have you talk to me about the need to shift my thinking and change what some of the ideas that I had in my brain. As we started doing, and I would say it only took me about maybe a month or two in, but I had real good clarity on the whole sense of how brainwashed I had been, how the diet had become a lifestyle, and really how difficult it made things a lot more difficult for me. It certainly took more peace away. I would have never come out of that. I mean, one of the things I'm most grateful for, I am grateful for weight loss. More than that, I'm grateful for the weight loss on my spirit, in my psyche, on my happy. You can't truly be happy. You can have a temporary happy while the weight's coming off. But if you know that the minute you stop doing the exact thing you've been assigned to do on a diet, you're going to start gaining again, there's a frenzy that takes place inside. Well, there was for me. I was reading and getting ready for the next diet when I knew I was sick of the one I was on, because I, somewhere inside, had gained this great worship for these diets, I guess, this whole feeling that this has got to be the answer. Well, if that diet's not the answer, the next one must be, or the next one be, or fasting. Talk about deprivation. Fasting. I did that and lost a lot of weight too, but I couldn't hold it. None of that can actually be held seriously and worked in a peaceful manner for me forever. It's very short. Each diet was, a few months, short-lived, really.
Okay. So talk to the listeners about when you said that you changed your mindset around some things and your perception around things. Is there an example you can share of what you mean by that?
I think the opening, for one thing, being able to give me a different perception, a different way of thinking about it, opened the door for me to be able to let go of, begin to let go of mentally the frenzy, the cycle that I was in. And as that started happening, I started getting excited. I started getting excited because I could see the possibility for the peace to come. And my eating, and I had learned a lot along the way. So I knew it. I knew protein, for instance, was important. I knew fiber was important. I knew sugar wasn't good for me, and all that other stuff I knew. But putting it together in a way that made sense by
Mm.
someone that was guiding me there made a big difference for me. And I think that then being able to, because you didn't tell me what to eat at first, which was troublesome for me. Because you wouldn't tell me what I couldn't eat was troublesome.
That's
And
hard
that
for a
made me
lot of
really look
people.
at, yeah, I looked at that and said, you're not a kid, and she's not being your mother, and you wouldn't listen to her if she were. So what's the problem? But
Yeah.
it really struck me that I might not get it right. Well, then just keep trying. I know, just don't quit. Just keep trying. Eventually you will, something will happen that'll make it right. So I did follow that. But that made a huge difference for me, being able to struggle through eating food not on a diet. I'm telling you, because it had been 25 years, right? So it felt like a brand new experience. Now, I know that early in my life, I was eating, like I said, I don't know what I was eating. I was feeding kids, but I was eating what they were eating after they were done, I guess. But it was just a brand new feeling inside of me. It started making sense. And I think that things have to make sense in me in order for me to find peace. And so that's one of the big things that started happening as we worked together, and I followed the instructions you gave me each month. As I started tracking my foods and paying attention, I was counting making sure I was getting all the protein I needed and the fiber, et cetera, and paying close attention. There were moments that were difficult when you said, just pay attention to those two and your calorie count. And inside of me, I was like, yeah, but you got to tell me what to do with all these carbs. Carbs had become my enemy. And oh my God, look at the amount of fat in me. And I really, there was a struggle to let go of what I didn't think I was doing right. Was probably the second phase of growth for me, to be able to just listen to what the woman is telling you and let this go. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle, but it happened. I did it. It stopped being important to me, whether I had, 6 carbs more in a day or something. And then so little by little, I'd say, I started seeing my thinking shift, and I realized just how, oh God, I'd become one with the diet world, and so being able to let that go totally. And I think it took me, I'm going to say maybe it took me 4 months to really come on the other side. And I don't remember now, but to say to you, wow, I have peace now. And I felt peace coming. Part of that peace was my ability to stop criticizing my body in any way. This body works really, this body birthed 7 children.
Wow.
This body has climbed mountains. This body has done amazing things. I wasn't giving it any credit whatsoever in terms of how I looked or how well it works, or even how I felt. I just kept keeping my mind in a real small place about what I had to do about food, now I can tell you, I'm not even sure at what point it changed, but now I don't know what I was supposed to be looking like that I thought was going to be the right thing to look like when I was doing the dieting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I never could have succeeded. Never. I never could have, because none of it would have been good enough for me. If I lost 30 pounds, if I lost 40, I still wouldn't have been able to see the beauty in me, the value of me, of my body. I could say I'm grateful that it works well. But this is a bigger relationship that I'm forming now with this body of mine. And the way that I see this body and the way that I feel in it, that's another thing that's really important, is that what I feel like in my body now is good. And I'm not finished. I still have some weight around my waist, especially, that I want off. But it will happen. And I'm not in a big hurry for it anymore. The peace is more important. I'm having people say to me things like, I had a compliment the other day. This man said in the parking lot of the grocery store, you look so young and fresh. Wow, that's a great compliment for 76. And, I had someone the other day say, you look so vibrant. And I believe part of that is, maybe I always look like that and couldn't see it, but I do believe that it's my relationship with myself and my body and how I'm feeling, a confidence that I had not let myself have before. You can't. I want to say this for everybody, but I really just need to speak for myself. I couldn't have that kind of confidence and that sense of myself if I was dieting. I couldn't do it. The diet took over whatever diet it was. It took over. I gave it the worship. That became my God. That was what was going to fix me at that time. And I know better than that, but I still did it over and over and over again. And I'm not doing that anymore. So did I answer your question?
Yeah. So just to clarify for the readers too, because you were our listeners, not readers, when you were talking about being scared of carbs. So when you started working with me, you were on a high fat diet and you were really limiting your carbs. And that was causing a lot of anxiety for you too, because then when we started talking about introducing carbs, because I said, if you don't want to give them up for the rest of your life, why are you restricting them now? Because that doesn't make sense. And so then you started bringing them in, and it was really kind of scary for you to start doing that.
Very scary, because I had made carbs the enemy.
Yeah.
I had done a lot. I did keto. I did paleo. I did vegan. I did low carb diet. Yeah. So those are probably the ones. There were others, but those were what I would say is the least balanced. And so, and I'd done one after the other. So we're looking at 3 years anyway of going back and forth. Some of them, I'm a paleo. I went back to many times, and which probably it's not a balanced diet in some ways. There are deprivation in there, but in other ways that it does offer some of the healthier way of eating. Some of the like high protein, etc. So carbs, became the enemy. And it made me very nervous. I was sure. I want to say this now because this is also something that's come up for me while going through this whole process that I've come to realize. I've never actually been afraid of uncertainty. Not really. Life is uncertain, and I've had a lot of situations in my life where I've just had to have a lot of faith and carry on, and I've done it. And so what I came to understand, one of the things I came to understand with you in my mind was what I really was fearing was the certainties that I was carrying. Not the ones that are real, the ones that I was carrying. One of them was carbs will make me fat. And if I don't do some kind of special diet, I am going to get huge. There were certainties in my mind that I picked up along the way. I can't even tell you exactly when or what caused it. I just knew I had it. And one of the big ones was I'm not going to be attractive at all. And I want another chance. I mean, I'm getting older now, but I want one more chance to have some fun with a man. I want to be able to enjoy myself. I still want to be able to travel a lot and move. So I want my body to be flexible and easily moved around, which I do have. But I had certainties in there that had to go, and they couldn't go until you and I addressed the direction that my mind was going in around dieting, including the carbs. And now I've dropped those. I've dropped those certainties. I've dropped them around all of it, actually. I don't have any. Everything's uncertain now, and I'm comfortable. With it.
Yeah. So now you're eating carbs and you're comfortable with them, but it took a while to get there.
I am. Yeah, but I'm mindful. I'm mindful. If I have some rice, I don't have 3 cups, and I'm mindful, and but I'm enjoying them. Another one that was a big one was potato. I love potatoes. There's nothing wrong with potatoes. I wouldn't let myself have potatoes for a long time because potatoes weren't on a lot of the diets,
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, big
Yeah,
change. What about some of the other foods that you used to struggle with too? Because you used to you baked a lot too. Do you still struggle with
I baked
those?
a lot. Yeah, I stopped baking. I was baking some of your recipes, and I will return to them some. But I have a love for sweets, and I always have. So, it's real hard for me to have one cookie, one cookie, Megan, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. So I still play with that, and I can see where it's waiting for me if there's something in life that feels uncertain in a way that's a little scary. I find myself looking through my cupboards. Well, there's nothing there, so go have an apple. But there's still a desire there, and I'm still a little bit nervous about, can you go to? I'm going to 4 Thanksgiving dinners. Then don't have a treat every Thanksgiving dinner. Just have, let yourself have 1 or 2 in the day. So I'm still working with that. But I'm okay with it.
Hmm.
Another thing that changed a lot in saying okay with it, I'm not mad at myself anymore. I'm
Mm,
not I'm not I'm not reprimanding myself anymore.
mm,
Um, I've made some amends. I'm really sorry that God, I deprived myself, and then I got mad at myself for being so hurt over it. I didn't see it, so I didn't see it clear then. I deprived myself, and then I'd be mad because then I'd binge. I'd get what I call a binge, an unnecessary amount is what I would say. But I knew there was a feeling in me that like a little kid, I've got to get as much of this in me as I can because it's going to go away again. It's going to go away soon, and I don't know when it'll come back. So I'm going to
yeah.
grab it while I can. So if I said, okay, I'm gonna let myself have a serving of ice cream is 1/4 of a cup. Oh, never have I had 1/4 of a cup of ice cream. So then of course, I wasn't going to do that. I was going to take that pint and sit right down with it, and then I would be mad at myself. My God, you have to do this, and the whole scene. You're a pig, all those things. Um, and then more deprivation because then I'd really tighten up my belt for dieting. Well, all that is gone now. I'm not doing any of that. I don't even have that in my mind anymore. And my amends to myself is not doing it at all.
Mm.
And once in a while, when I do think of it, it brings tears to me. Gosh, I never treated my kids like that. I've never treated anybody like that.
Yeah.
So I'll forgive because because I kept searching until I found the right answer. And I couldn't find the right answers through dieting. Now
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah. So what makes this the last time? What makes this sustainable? What do you think?
I'll never diet again. Never. I will never diet again. I don't
Why?
believe in it anymore. I don't
What do you
because
learn
it doesn't
though?
work.
It doesn't
Uh,
work, but what do you learn that's sustainable now?
well, to be sensible. I think it's really to be
Good.
sensible.
Be sensible or mindful. That's what I call it, being mindful.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep tracking even after you and I are finished working, and I'm going to keep tracking because it's easier. I get up in the morning and I know I've got so much time to get myself out of here at most mornings, um and I want to have a breakfast. I also had some really bad habits, running around with my food, grab a cup of
Mm,
coffee and one toast and head into the bathroom or head into some other room that I was doing something and eat on the run. And I love toast. Did I enjoy that? No, I never tasted that toast. So
yeah.
then I'd want another one, but I wouldn't have time for one. And then out the door, and then mid morning I'm really hungry, but what do I have to eat? So, and maybe I'd have something that wasn't good. So changing all that, I see the difference. I know how I feel. It's a slow weight loss for me, and I'm okay with that. That's the other thing. I don't want to, I know that period of time that I'll be maintaining. Maybe I won't lose. That's okay. That's okay. I'm maintaining. that's another thing that's an amazing thing for me, because it's never happened to me before, right? I've always lost and gained, lost and gained. So it's something brand new to get used to. And, it came to a place where I realized having a brand new way of looking at things and working with my body and keeping my peace of mind, that has become exciting. It's very different than whatever was going on with my hormones or my chemicals, eating foods that I didn't need to, or binging on sugar items. I like the peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
I like the feeling that I'm being sensible. I like the comfort of it. I like feeling like I'm succeeding. And what I'm succeeding at is loving myself in this way. I didn't see how much I wasn't loving myself dieting. I know that I'm loving myself now, and it's opened up doors for me in my life as well. So I'm not ever going to diet. I know I won't ever diet again. I've got 40 years of sobriety. And I understand you do this one day at a time, but I knew early on in my life I'd never pick up a drink or a drug again. I knew that. Just like I'm not going to tell you I'm never going to eat a cookie or a little bit of ice cream again, because I know better. See, I can't make that promise. Not making promises to myself I can't keep. I'm not asking myself to do things that feel impossible or hurtful or depriving in any way. So I know that how I operate now is going to make sense every day. And if I get a little bit of confused in my head somewhere, I'll run back to your podcast and start listening. Oh yeah, that's right. That's the direction I need to be going in. So
reset your mindset. Yeah.
Reset my mindset, right. But so far it hasn't gone very far off track. It's a good feeling to like all that I'm doing in life and not having some little secret somewhere behind in the refrigerator that, and the mood that you can shift it with eating too much sugar or not getting enough nutrition is amazing too. With what happens inside of your mind and your body, it's not good. So I have a new balance. It's also a sense of balance, and I like that too.
Yeah. You were out of balance when we started working together, which, speaking of which, when we started working together, one of the things you told me in our first consultation call was, Megan, I want to meet a man. I want to have a partner. I want to have somebody I can love and do things with. And I haven't felt worthy of that because of this weight that I've been carrying around. So do you want to share with the listeners what's happened in that department?
Sure. I said, excuse me 1 minute. I also have, I have a Frameo, and one of my sons sent me videos, which is just lovely, seeing videos of my grandchildren, but it pops up and makes a loud noise the minute I start talking to somebody. So that's what I was stopping. I asked the universe, I said, I think I'm ready now. I always said I'll never want a man again if I have a fat belly. I've got to get this fat belly off. Then I stopped thinking about it, because I stopped thinking about the man. I just got really focused on changing my health. My mental health, I would say, was one of the things that was the most important to me. And I ordered a load of firewood, and the man showed up to deliver the firewood, and we talked for a few minutes, and then he started texting me, and today we are enjoying each other's company. How about that?
Wow.
And one of the wonders for me, and I know it's because I shifted my consciousness around my self-love, that this man is very sweet. He's not complimentary in the same way. When you're younger, you want to hear you're pretty and you're beautiful and all these other things. But he's got a different way of it's just lovely the way that he talks to me and accepts me, and he's never said ever once, oh, you have a fat belly. Nope, that doesn't seem to bother him whatsoever. And I laugh about that, because I had that in my, that's one of the certainties that I had to put down. I was certain that no one would ever want me. And so, and since then, I've also had a lot of flirtations. I'm trying not to become a wild child again. But I'll tell you, at 76, it's okay to be a wild child at 76. It's a good feeling to be doing things that you would have thought weren't so good when you're younger. The man calls me lady, so I think I'm doing okay.
Right. Well,
Yeah, so it's fun.
you literally manifested a partner by saying, this is what I want. And then ultimately doing some of the mindset work that we worked on, right? Talking to yourself better, treating yourself better, you ultimately attract it better.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Loving myself deeper and more attracted someone who could. Respect is also something when we get older that's really important, and I feel very respected by this man. And it's something very different than what I've had in the past, because there's a sense of freedom about it, that wasn't there. And I'm not feeling, I don't have to run home and get on the scale and make sure I'm small enough to put on that right outfit to look that right way so this man is impressed. I don't do any of that, and I have no need to. So that's also freedom. There's freedom.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not waiting until you are a certain size to feel good enough to date somebody and be loved.
And I have 19 grandchildren and gorgeous granddaughters that are in their 20s, and they get together. They work in similar places. They're cousins that are very close. And they've said to me, Grammy, I know you love to dance. Come dancing with us. And I'm making a date to go dancing with my granddaughters.
Aww.
And I'm going to put on jeans and sneakers, and I'm going to raise heck. I can do that with my granddaughters. Yeah.
How fun.
So to open up the doors for me to, I think the years that I was dieting, I was struggling and fighting with the sense of aging. I've never felt an age, but there was a mindset that was part of the mindset that we're handed. I dropped that off also. I don't carry that anymore. I'm just going to have a really good time I figure I got about 30 more years, and I'm going to party the whole 30 years, but not with too much food.
Not with too much food. You're going to be mindful, balanced.
I'm going to be very mindful. Yeah. Well, the truth in all that is it's not as important. That's another thing that's changed. If I'm invited to go to a gathering or a party or out to eat or whatever, the food is not the main attraction. In the past, there were times when it was. Now it's the person I'm with or the situation I'm in. And yes, there's some food, and that, oh God, that feels so good, because that feels like it's in the right place. It just makes more sense that way. Oh, there's food, but look, there's conversation, there's beautiful people. Whatever is going on is entertaining and enjoyable, and I'm having fun, and I'm eating some food.
Yeah.
So that's very different also.
Wow. So do you want to share with everybody what your physical results were in terms of, I don't know if we know what your scale loss is, but we know you've lost some inches. Maybe we can just describe in terms of your pant size or your clothes size, what has changed.
I was addicted to the scale. Mm-hmm. When you said don't use the scale, I put it under my bed. It's still under there. And I don't care about it anymore, because I realized, that's another thing that shifted. I realized it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't, because you drink a lot of water, or you haven't gone to the bathroom yet, or whatever. The numbers can change every day, and I hear that from other people that report to me. One of my sisters, they report, oh, I got on the scale yesterday, I gained 3 pounds, but today I lost 2, so I guess I'm all right. It's like, God, I'm just listening to it, thinking that what a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. I had started measuring, and that's okay, but mostly I've enjoyed seeing the shift in how my clothes fit me. I also want to say my clothes got too big. No, my clothes didn't get big. I got smaller, and I need to give myself that. And other people, I walked into my daughter's house one day, and she went, Mom, you shrunk all over. You look like you're just a lot smaller person, which is not in the past, and I've never lost weight like that before. My weight loss was always, mostly I focused on my belly. my midsection.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I gain the most weight. And that's that donut that goes all the way around on your backside and your mid. And I still have some of that. But I'm down, well, at least 2 pant sizes. I have quite a large array of clothes in my home, lots of different sizes. I learned not to get rid of any because I might be going to get back into them again. But with this experience, once I'm gone down a little more and I'm really feeling comfortable, then I probably will let some of these clothes go. But in the meantime, I'll put on a blouse or a shirt, and it's just too big. It's way too low. My pajamas are falling off my shoulders. So that has been so enjoyable. It's been to say, gee, I'm going to try these black jeans and have them go right on. Wow, they slipped right. Oh, great big width. Yay. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. I think it's best if I stay away from the scale, because what the heck difference does it make?
Yeah, exactly.
And,
what does it make? What's the difference? What it says?
It can grab a hold of you and bring you down into a depression.
Yeah.
A stupid little thing that you stand on. You can curse yourself and be angry at yourself because there's a number on there you don't like. I don't even know what I ought to be weighing. I don't care. I mean, eventually I feel good. People give me compliments. This man likes to put his arms around me, and he sure can. So what else do I need to worry about? I don't want to worry about anything. I don't want any of those thoughts in my mind. I like the peace of mind I have. I like that I walk through life with a smile on my face, that I put a little bit of makeup on and my hair is really cute. And that's what people say to me. That's what people say. You have a wonderful smile and I love your hair. They never say, oh, but your belly's a little fat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I would recommend people to throw their scale away. Just throw it away. It's your enemy, really. It's your enemy like dieting is. That's what I believe.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So I guess there's a lot of ladies listening to this podcast today in the same exact situation as you, carrying around this mental weight, mentally dieting, doing diet after diet, searching for the right thing, losing and gaining weight over and over again, hating themselves, not liking themselves, not loving themselves. What advice would you have for them?
I hope a lot of them are a lot younger so they can hear me say this to them. I wasted years feeling about something about myself that wasn't true. I want to live a long life now because I want to make it up to myself to just look in the mirror and see a beautiful woman and live life that way. Just live that way, and that's what you'll attract. People that will give you that. They'll look at you and say, like, you look so vibrant, or gosh, you look so young and fresh. And nobody stands in front of me and says, God, you're one drop dead gorgeous woman. I don't care, but I cared about that when I was 20. It's a whole different feeling. So I'd say, start right now loving yourself as you are. And that is hard when you're saying, oh God, I just looked in the mirror and I don't like what I see.
Yeah.
And don't go by what you look like when you go buy clothes and stand in those dressing rooms. They're lying to you. Just find what fits and leave. Because how many times we condemn ourselves for that? You get in those bright lights and those big mirrors, and you go, oh my God, what am I even buying new clothes for? It ought to be in a potato sack. It's an awful feeling. And it's and the scale and the diet, and after a while you just feel like a total failure. And it's a waste of life. It really is. You can get the mental peace first, really get that peace. Clear your mind of, because if you've been on a lot of diets and you've seen yourself as a failure a lot, so you have to clear that out of your mind. It's all set up for failure, I think. I mean, there are people that go on diets and seem to never gain the weight back and manage. I think good for them. I'm glad I'm not one of those people that could do that. I just couldn't. So I'm glad I'm done. I'm done. And there's so much peace now within me. And therefore, I have a lot more room to just think about having fun and enjoying, just enjoying. And I enjoy me. So Oh, the mindset is the most important, I think, and understanding that you've been really unfair to yourself with all of this business about having to look a certain way, and who really ever gets to look like that? Whatever way it is we're told we're supposed to look like,
Yeah.
very few people, and they don't keep it. You don't keep it. You grow older, no matter how hard you work, you do grow older, and things do change. So why not do it with happiness,
Mm-hmm.
freedom,
So your
good people,
advice to other women is to start loving themselves now.
and absolutely, and practice it. Don't just talk it. Practice it.
Yeah.
Whatever it means for you, because I don't know what people are doing to not love themselves, but I can tell you, if you're dieting all the time, you're not loving yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easier said than done. I think a lot of people know how to love other people, right? Love their friends and their family. It's hard to do that for yourself, especially when you don't feel good in your own body and you're struggling with food.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Very difficult thing to do, which is why support and accountability and guidance is always helpful.
Absolutely. I will always be grateful for you, Megan.
Oh,
I'm grateful I was led to you. I knew, and I'm always willing to listen to someone that knows something more than I do about a subject. That's how we learn. And I've always been willing to listen to a coach, just finding the one that was going to guide me through something that was sensible for me. And your program for me is the right package. Everyone has a story within them. Everyone's had experiences in their past, and it's caused them to have a mindset of survival. And I was still in a mindset of survival when I was dieting. And, I can list all the pieces that are in that, but I now have a mindset of thriving, and I understood a mindset of thriving. I worked on it, but I couldn't get it or keep it if I was dieting.
wow.
It's that, just doing that in itself, the message to yourself is you're not good enough.
Yeah.
You're not good enough. This diet is going to fix you, and it doesn't. And I didn't need to be fixed ever, but I thought I needed to change something, and I did change a lot. So I don't have to sit in a space of surviving. I'm going to survive the next diet. I'm going to survive the next pound. I'm going to be depressed when I gain 20 back, but I'll get through it. And no, I'm not doing any of that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thriving in happiness.
You're thriving, and you're living your life, and you're attracting love, and you're attracting everything that you're worthy of, even though before you didn't believe it. You didn't believe you were worthy of it. You thought you had to lose weight to get those things, and it wasn't true.
Yeah, and I didn't even see that. I didn't see the depth of that connection.
Yeah. Most people
couldn't
don't.
see it.
Most people don't.
No.
That's what's so sad about it.
No, we're born with value. There is no measurements of value. We just are.
Right.
And you live out your life utilizing that value in some way for the good of the whole, mostly. But worthiness is measured by human. It's measured by outside, and we're taught to measure ourselves those ways. I don't have enough money. I'm poor. I'm not worth as much. I don't drive the right kind of car. I'm not worth as much. I'm too fat. I'm not worth as much. And there doesn't have to be anybody saying that to you. There may be, but there doesn't have to be. It's exactly the example we give ourselves every time we go to those places. And so how do I live my value? By loving myself in every way there is, and accepting, and also appreciating. I appreciate the struggle I've been in. I appreciate how much healing I've done. And I appreciate that I laid down anything that even looked like pride and grabbed a hold of my humility and said, let this woman teach me. Let me learn this. Let me change what's going on in my mind. because I want to live my value. And what am I worth? I don't have any idea. And I suppose I'm worth something different to people who love me. I know I'm worth a lot, but I mean, it's really about my value. And I have my value. I have my value in my hands now. I have it in my mind, and I can play it out in whatever direction I choose. I'm actually going to start my business up again. I took a couple years off. I needed a break, and now I'm like, well, I'm good. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I may as well be. And now I've got one more thing to talk to people, women about. So I'm going to start doing women's groups again. And I wouldn't have done that before. I was burnt out. I was tired. I was going to stop. And now I got too much energy. I've got to use it. I don't mind cleaning my house, but not every day. So yeah. So I'm going to live my value. And I'm going to keep living my value. Yeah.
I love that. I am so proud of you.
Look what you did, Megan.
Oh,
thank you.
Well, you did the work. I just guided you, right? So I am really, really proud of you. I mean, I know you were in such a bad mental space when we started off, and you had big hopes and dreams for yourself. And I know you were reluctant in the beginning, and there were a lot of struggles that took you, a while to overcome to get to this place. But you did the mental work to get to this place, and also the physical work of working on your calories and eating mindfully and getting over your fear of eating carbs. You did all of that. So, I mean, you've come in a really long way in a short period of time. And I'm just so proud of you. And I want to thank you also for sharing your story with other women, because I know there's a lot of other women out there struggling like you were.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'm glad to pass it on. I hope that some of my words will be valuable to another to make a good change in their life, Yeah. And I understand I did this work, but if you hadn't have done the work, you wouldn't have been able to be the coach you are. So I'm still going to give you some credit.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Sharon. Well, any other final words for the listeners before we leave today?
Oh, don't ever give up. That's the most important thing of all. Keep it going. I mean, look, I finally succeeded at 70. Well, at 75, I succeeded, right? I turned 76, but at 75, I finally succeeded at something that I wanted for years, and I couldn't find the open door. And now that I have it, that door is never going to close again.
What a great feeling. What a great feeling.
Yeah, it is.
Well, Sharon, thanks again for sharing your lovely story. I'm so proud of you. And thanks again for, letting all of the listeners in on all of your, your history and everything that you've been through, and giving them so much inspiration. I truly believe anybody can change at any age, and you truly are a testament to that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, you have to come check out my free weight loss class. It's the 5 steps to lasting weight loss, how hormones impact weight loss, and the truth about lasting weight loss without relying on willpower, workouts, or deprivation. Click the link in the show notes to watch that free class today. And if you are a woman over 35 with 20 to 50 or more pounds to lose, schedule a free weight loss breakthrough session with me after you watch that class, and let's talk about your 20 to 50 or more pound weight loss plan.